In this video, we're going to create a simple luggage tag in Inkscape and then show you how to export that work to the Universal Laser System's Universal Control Panel so that you can use it with your ULS laser system to do cutting and engraving or whatever else you might be designing. To start, we'll open up Inkscape. Doesn't matter what type of file you open, we're going to open an A4 file to start. The first thing we need to do is change our work area to match the size of our laser. In this case, I'm going to use a VLS 350 or a VLS 360 DT for desktop. So to do that, we come up to File, Document Properties. I'm going to change the display units to inches, and then I'll come down to my custom sizing here and change this to 24 by 12. Once I have that set, we can close the document properties. Now my window seems to be zoomed in correctly, but if your view is off-centered, you can fix that by coming to View, going to Zoom, and then click Zoom Page. I always start my work with the outside or the biggest area of my object. So in this case, it's going to be the outside of our luggage tag. So we're going to grab our rectangle tool and just draw a rectangle anywhere. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to change this to inches, and I'm going to make it 3.5 by 2. Now, when I click off of my rectangle here, you'll notice that I can't really see it, and that's because the line is already set to a really thin or hairline thickness. So what we want to do is come up to View, Display Mode, Visible Hairlines. Okay, that way I can see the rectangle that I just drew. We click on the rectangle. We can change a few things about it. The first thing that we want to do is maybe we'll want to add some rounded corners to this. So the easiest way to do that is to grab this Edit Paths by Node, grab this top right hand corner, and just drag that down a little bit. Once that's done, we want to verify that our color, since we're going to cut this out, is red. And that's an RGB red. So we can click down here where this fill and stroke area is, and that's going to bring up our fill and stroke properties. So again, in the ULS system, red is defaulting to cut, and that's 255 red in RGB color mode. Then we want to go over to our stroke style here. I'm going to change mine to points and verify that it's 0.001 points, which it already is. If not, I can change this here, and I can close that up. Now I'm going to create a border on the inside of this so I can make another rectangle. This one I want to be blue. Oops. We want to right click on that to set the stroke as blue. I can do the same thing with the radius if I want to, or I can come in here and specify an X and a Y radius manually. Either option is good. I also want to change the height here to 3.25 by 1.75 for height and width. And then I can take this and just sort of roughly line it up to where we want it to be. You see it's going to kind of snap to some of these edges, but we're going to fix that here in a minute. Next, I want to add some text. Okay, so we grab our text tool, click anywhere, and type our text out. We can then change the sizing of it however we want. If we hold Control, it'll keep the ratio of the height and width so that when you're scaling, it doesn't distort in any sort of way. Something like that's about good. We'll kind of line it up. Once I have these elements in place, I want to align everything to the center. So I can drag a box around everything to select it all. And then I can come to the Align and Distribute button down in the bottom right of my toolbar. Or if I go to Object, Align and Distribute. There are several different selections you can pick. I find biggest object to be the easiest for something simple like this, so I'm going to select that. And that means that all of the alignments will be relative to the biggest object. So this outside box should stay in place, and these other two items will move around to align to wherever I want it aligned on this box. So in this case, we're going to do center vertically, center horizontally. Click anywhere else. All right, last thing we need to do is put a hole for a piece of string or a lanyard or whatever you want. Again, shift this time will make the circle even, but what we can do is just change the radius here to 0.125 on the X and Y. Whoops, sorry, I am in millimeters, I want to be in inches. 0.125, 0.125. Again, I don't want a fill, so I'm going to set the stroke to red, but then when I open up these properties, we can change this fill Alright, check my line weight, 0.001 points. And then I'm going to position this roughly where I want it. While leaving that selected, I'll hold Shift and select the outside box, come back to Align and Distribute, and I'll align things horizontally on the horizontal axis. There we go. Alright, so that's our simple luggage tag. From here we have a couple quick steps to get it to the Universal Laser Systems control panel so that we can actually cut and engrave this. First thing we're going to do is go to File, Save As, and we're going to save this as a PDF. I'm going to name it luggage tag and click Save. I didn't change any of the defaults except for this resolution for rasterization. I changed it to 300 dpi. Click OK. Find our file. In this case, it's saved as a PDF on my desktop. I'm just using Adobe Acrobat Reader DC, but any PDF reader should work fine for this. We're going to come to File, Print. Make sure that the laser is selected as the printer in the drop-down box. Go ahead and go to Properties, and this brings up our materials database from the control panel. In this case, I'm going to go use continuous cast acrylic, and I want my material thickness to be 0.125, which it already is, but just to be sure, I'll type that in, and then press Apply and OK. Back at this screen, we press Print one more time, and then we come down to our system tray and check our work. In here, our color should come through, so our red again is going to default to cutting, so we're going to cut the outside of the tag, the inside hole for, again, some sort of lanyard or string. We're going to have a little border around there just for design's sake, and then we're going to engrave the text in the middle. And that's how to easily get work from Inkscape over to the Universal Control Panel.